Hello world, I am Curtis Simpson, and this is the 2026 Jectives casual stream. I don't know if I just awkwardly went live for like 10 seconds and then restarted the stream or not. I must have changed something in OBS because there was a pop-up that said like, you can't auto start this. And I'm not sure if that's a problem with my settings in YouTube Studio or an update from OBS or what happened. But I guess I can always edit out that first part in the replay. This is a casual stream. This is not typography news. This is not a affinity review. This isn't anything too strenuous. This isn't anything too serious. But what this is going to be a look forward at what's to come this year, what my plans are. I have a lot of plans, but if you don't want to watch this whole thing, go ahead and leave comments and let me know any feedback you have from the last year, anything you'd like to see this year. Probably many of those comments will be addressed throughout the stream. But if you're watching right now and you don't have time to watch the rest, go ahead and leave a comment, and you won't look dumb because I'm telling you to. So feedback is welcome. Tell me what you're excited about, what you're concerned about, what kind of content that you want. I am going to switch to my screen so that I can start showing you what my plans are. I'll go ahead and give you a quick preview. Let me go ahead and just show my screen anyway. Screen cap, there we go. Could probably make myself a little bit bigger for this stream because we are not looking at typography and stuff like that. Let me try to make this a little bit bigger. So I'm basically going to go through what my little outline is right here. I'm going to go through my 2026 roadmap. My pillars for that obviously are typography news and the book reviews, but I've got some other stuff going on. I got YouTube partners. We're going to talk about what that means. I got a new website coming. Yeah, I mean, it's the same website, but it's just being updated. It's actually going to be maintained this year. And then just kind of covering like what Jectives is in general, how I'm planning to improve the live stream, stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. Let me go ahead and pull up this little map that I have. I'm going to switch. This is all in Obsidian. If you're looking for a good note-taking app, I'm not sponsored. I'm just a fan, just a user. And hopefully the construction outside isn't too bad. I live stream on Sundays because there's no construction. There's constantly construction where I live. And today, I guess they decided they lost too much time with the holidays and they need to do their construction right now. I'm going to turn my face off real quick because I want to move the fan closer to me. Oh, that was the chair, not my butt. Okay, I apologize. Like I said, super casual stream today. My regular desk chair actually broke right before the stream. It's probably going to be able to be fixed, but sorry. Probably going to be able to be fixed, but I didn't want to have to deal with it during the stream, so I just grabbed a chair from the kitchen real quick, or from the dining room. Okay, so this is my little content map that I have. Let me go ahead and make myself a little bit smaller. This is basically what the channel is going to look like this year, or at least what my plan is for this to look like. And it's not very different from the last year. You know, we've been doing this for almost 1 year in total, about 6 or 7 months, like super serious in terms of the live streams and stuff like that. But yeah, if you're not new here, see if we can make this full screen. If you're not new here, then you know that the two pillars are essentially typography news and book reviews. That's not going to change. Let me go ahead and show you the books real quick. We're going to come back to this. But typically what I've been doing a lot of is the long form flip through book reviews. I did one like why you should read Thinking with Type. I'm planning to do those mid-form like 5-10 minute videos for all the books. So I'm going to do like a long form and then release a a mid-form version of it. For the people that just want like, why should I read this book? I'll give one convincing argument, and then if they want more, they can go read the long form or go watch the long form. But I know not everybody wants to see every single page in the book. I'm one of those people that like the long form, like show me a 60-minute, show me a 90-minute video of someone flipping through a book and giving me their commentary on it, or you know, whatever the subject is. And then other concepts. I'll come back to that one. But the big thing that we do here every week is typography news. So this is the Sunday live stream right here. That's why it's the biggest. This is the biggest thing. Like if Jectives was only going to do one thing, it would be typography news. And I think I think that's the most important like service that I have to offer in terms of like what do I offer the community? What is the purpose of this channel? Why does Jectives even exist? It's the typography news episodes that I do on Sundays. That's like the main thing. There is no gosh, do we want to get into this now? Yeah, why not? There is no real independent typography news. And I say that as a complete generalization because there probably are typography news publications and YouTube channels and stuff like that, or I don't know, websites that are entirely independent. But when you think about typography news, you're probably thinking about stuff from like, I mean, hopefully Jectives, but you're probably thinking of like, It's Nice That, Creative Boom, I Love Typography, maybe D-Zine. I don't know. There's a lot of these. Maybe like, I don't know. What's his name? Not Font Wolf, or not Type Wolf. Type Wolf, Font Wolf. I'm not sure which one that website was. But that's sponsored by Monotype now as well. My point is, all of Pimp My Type is who I was thinking of. Maybe he's independent. Maybe he doesn't have any sponsors in the industry. But my point is, there is no one else, and this was one of the reasons why I started doing this. There's no one else doing what I'm doing the way that I'm doing it. And that's a niche that's something you want to do in business in general. I guess I gotta make my face big for this part. So Jectives does independent typography journalism. It's never going to be education. It's never going to be like an affinity channel. I'll talk about the affinity content. I do affinity content, but it's a typography journalism, channel, publication, whatever, that is independent. And that's the thing that these other people can't do, or at least don't do. They don't do it. A place like I Love Typography started out as like a typography blog, but they're a foundry, or not a foundry. They're a marketplace now. You can't independently report on typography and then also sell the fonts. Like I had the opportunity to be a Monotype affiliate, and basically anything that was available for sale on my fonts, I could link you guys to that and like get paid for it. That's what a lot of these places do. Jectives doesn't do that. Jectives has no sponsors or affiliate links in the type industry. So that's Monotype, that's every type foundry, that's every type designer, that's every font marketplace, that's Adobe, that's Affinity, because Affinity competes with Adobe. Adobe has Adobe fonts. Like, I could see that kind of being a gray area, but it's just not, because if I wanted to report on Affinity or Canva and their deals with Monotype and stuff like that, how can I do that independently if I'm getting a paycheck from them? So that's the thing that I can do that other places can't, because I have no sponsorships from these people. I have no ties to these people. I'm not selling fonts. I Love Typography, and they do a lot of good things. They put on good conferences and webinars and stuff like that. But I'm not. Evie, good to see you again. Happy New Year. Evie says, I have yet to find one that is objective, so I appreciate this channel. Yeah, that's my entire goal here, and I'm not like trying to I don't know, be toot my own horn about this or something, but like, yeah, that's the point, and that's where the name comes from, Jectives. It comes from being very clear about what's objective, what's subjective, and simultaneously using the correct adjectives to describe something. And I know that last part sounds stupid, but when you look, when you're trying to search for typography, a lot of times the adjectives do not match because people are just trying to get as many keywords in there as they want. So yeah, that's where the Jectives name comes from. Anyway, but yeah, my goal is to be fair with my font reviews. My goal is to be objective with like what I'm presenting, and to make sure there's absolutely zero incentive or any objective person would look at this and think that I was being influenced by any type foundry, any marketplace, anything like that. Is there a huge potential to make money doing that? Yeah, there is. But then what's the point of doing this? It would be exactly like every other design publication, YouTube channel, whatever. So the thing that's going to make Jectives be successful is not falling into that trap and not doing what all these other places do. I do use affiliate links for the book reviews. That's Amazon. And then I do, and I barely made any money doing that. And then I'm open to sponsors and stuff like that, just not ever from anybody within the industry. That's the hard rule. I've been approached, and that's the hard rule. No sponsors within the industry. So, tangent aside, I do think that typography news is like special in that sense, in that nobody else is doing this. And there's a real incentive not to do that. So while I do expect there will be competition as this channel grows, I think that each one of them will fall into that same trap. So the three things from typography news, essentially the live stream, that's the main thing. Special coverage, that might be, like last year I was going to do coverage of like all the fonts that were in the Super Bowl commercials. It might be dumb stuff like that. It might be, we have presidential elections coming up in the US. It might be looking at typography that's being used by people, seeing, checking it from like a brand perspective, seeing if it matches what their message is. I don't know if I wanted to get into that. Something else like Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out. GTA 6 is coming out in May. Maybe we'll literally just go around the world and like check out all the typography and then like report back and see what's going on there. I don't know, but I want to leave the door open on like what kind of special coverage I might do. Because one, it's fun, and two, things like Affinity Review might come out of that, because the Affinity Review, which good and bad name, I won't get into that now, isn't like something I planned on doing. It was, if you look at the first, let me see if I can pull up if you look at the first video that I did for Affinity, it was a typography news. This was typography news live coverage of Affinity's big reveal. I didn't know it was going to be. I was speculating that it was going to be, there was going to be an Affinity announcement at the Canva event. But I think there's an opportunity for stuff like this to pop up, and it won't last forever, but right now, these get good views, 500, 2,000, 4,000 views. This last one is the most like typography, like perfectly related. If there was a Venn diagram between like Affinity and typography news, the Fontsmith collection releasing was like the perfect overlap. But I think that there's opportunities for that. So if you're subscribed to this channel because you want to see Affinity content, it'll be there periodically. I'll do reviews, if there's like a 3.1 update, 3.5 update, that kind of stuff, if it feels significant. But like updates and news and things like that, the Fontsmith collection, I have that there just because I think there's an opportunity to do some more typography coverage there, but it's not like a priority for me. So typography news is one pillar. The book reviews are the other. You might see I have a stack of books sitting back here. I'm going to pull those up in 2 seconds. But the two things I'm going to do is the long form and the short form, mid form. And then I have other concepts on there because I do think there are books like, let me just grab them all. We got Hornet here protecting our books. Put her to the side. Ugh. Okay. I have books like Paul Renner that I previewed 100 times being like, I'm going to review this book. I did read it and I took a bunch of notes and I put the outline together for the review, but then I was like, man, this is boring. Like, this isn't a book that you'd actually flip through. There's some stuff, but this is a history book. It's a biography. I'll show you the coolest part because this is what I'll end up making a video about probably. There's two things I think you could do about this. One is like the original portions. I don't know how well it's going to show up on screen, probably terribly. There's the original like drawings of Futura in here, which is really cool. And then there is this overarching, like, Paul Renner was like a rationalist to his core. Like, he was a lot older than a lot of the people in the Bauhaus and stuff like that at that time. And I've mentioned this before, he was not part of the Bauhaus. He taught a different school there that I can't remember the German name of now. But there's books like that. There's books like this that they don't really fit into the flip-throughs, but there's still things to be learned from reading them. And do I think this is going to get a ton of views? No. But it's cool for the people that do enjoy it. And I think that since a lot of people aren't making those types of videos, it's probably, there's this idea that I have that Jectives is like in service to something. And it's not like this religious thing. It's just like in service to the type industry. Like, what are we doing to like to make things better or to like carry on this tradition and stuff like that. And I'm not a type designer. I have some plans, but like I'm not a type designer. So what can I do to like make this industry better? What can I do to help out other designers? I'm going to show you some of the books that I'm going to look at this year. Let's do the big picture for this one. I'm going to show you some books that I'm going to look at this year, and this is where you can really provide some feedback, is what books you're most interested in seeing. I'll give you the one that I'm reading right now because this was my Christmas present. This is one of my Christmas presents, and it is the Oh No book. What are they calling this? James Edmondson, A Serious Guide to Irreverent Type Design. This is really fun. It is not what I expected. If you've seen any of James's content online before, he does a lot of education and stuff like that. He does a lot of speeches, or at least he used to. I think he still does. There's a lot of overlap because this is kind of like a culmination of everything that he's taught over the last decade or whatever. And this book is, it's really cool. I'm only that far into it right now. And I had to stop myself over break because I wanted to take like a real break from work. So that is going to be the first book this year. I apologize if you don't want to see this one, but this one's pretty fun. And that's going to be the first one. It's the Oh No book. But I have all three of these. So I have a couple of trilogies here. I've been sitting on these books forever. One of my things that I'm going to do this year is focus on the book reviews, and anything other than typography news and the book reviews is coming after I have like perfected my schedule for getting these book reviews out, because I feel like I've got there with typography news. And that's kind of why that took so much time, was because it was just, man, I really underestimated how much time typography news is going to take. But I have all three of these. They are Type Tricks by Sophie Beyer. So there's the original one. Oh no, that's the layout one. Hold on, I was shuffling these around. Here's the original one. Boom. 200 Type Tricks, your personal guide to type design. Then she did, I can't remember which one was which, but she did UI and layout, user design and layout. So kind of like print and digital there. If I can get these, there we go. So I will probably do 3 separate reviews on these, but I think probably do like a, kind of like an overall video for these. So if you're interested in these, let me know. This is the other trilogy, and I only have one of these that's printed, so this would probably be the only one that we actually talk about, and then I'll just do like a little bit of shout out in terms of, look at that weird pattern that's showing up. This is the fabric book. This is by Dan Cederholm. I apologize, Dan. Dan Cederholm, one of the founders of Dribbble. He is the owner of Simple Bits, which is now also a Type Foundry. And oh, there's some goodies falling out of it. What's in here? We got a guitar pick. We got a sticker, an AC/DC homage there. And we got the Simple Bits sticker. And we also got a little thank you card from Dan. This was a book that I purchased, gosh, right when the channel started probably. I thought I was going to get through these books so much faster. But this one is 20 Bits I Learned About Making Fonts. So I've got a lot of type design books this year that I'm going to be going through. The Ono book is kind of a type-ish design book. I mean, it is, but it's not like designing type where it's like, here's the technical how to do it. It's more like, here's how he did it, and here's what people should pay attention to. I don't know, we'll do the full review when we get there. But his is quite a bit shorter, but I do have the ebooks from his other two 20 Bits I Learned About fill in the blank. So I'll kind of do like a similar thing where like I'm do like a mid-form like cover of that, but the main focus for the book review will be the 20 bits about fonts. So if that's one that you'd like to see next, let me know. This one's going to be a quick book to cover, and I probably should have just done it already. Snails and Monkey Tails, a visual guide to punctuation and symbols. This is a perfect book for YouTube. It's entirely visual. It's very, very easy to recommend because I've read this before, but it's very easy to recommend. I think I actually have two of this book. I think I have one in the United States waiting for me, and then I have one here that I bought to do the review on. unfortunately, I couldn't bring all my books with me. But this one's pretty cool. Very visual. It's going to be really nice for a book review. And then it also is just kind of one of those, like, you know, you don't have to, it's not like this biography where you have to like read, where you have to like really use your brain and like try to pronounce a bunch of German words and German names. It's a fun, comfortable book that you can kind of like read at your own pace and just kind of like flip through. And it would be a good coffee table book and definitely a good gift. Snails and Monkey Tales, that is on the docket. Then I have two giant books here. One is The Universal Principles of Typography by Elliot J. Stocks. He actually has another book coming out in March I'm going to try to get my hands on. This one is this one's pretty similar to like any other intro to typography book. I would say that this is most closely related to Ellen Lupton's Thinking with Type. But what he does is, I think he's got like 100. Are these just numbered? Sorry, I'm trying to look through this at the same time. Yeah. So he's basically got like 100 different things in here that he's going to talk about. Let me see if I can get this on here. You can see the small 100 up there. There are 100 different spreads in this book, and each one is some kind of typography thing. Check your diacritics. So it looks like this actually has maybe some type design, or is this just typography? Don't forget the extra space required for accents and the like. Okay, so he's talking about leading there. But yeah, so yeah, I'm excited about this. Maybe this isn't quite as much like Thinking with Type as I thought it was. It looks like it's kind of like 100. Oh, it says 100 key concepts for choosing and using type. So maybe this isn't quite as much like an intro book as I thought. I do think this would be good for beginners. And I did flip through this, but man, it's probably been 9 months since I flipped through this. Yeah, okay. So that one's on the list too. I think that'll be an interesting one. I think that'll be a popular one because it's a book that's pretty recent, and it's a book that probably not a lot of people have read, especially people like me that, you know, finished school 10 years or more ago. This behemoth right here is the book that I have been most excited to read, and the book that I know is going to take so long that like it just makes all of the other book reviews get pushed by months probably, because this is a book from 2004 by John Middendorp. John Middendorp. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Somebody can correct me if not. I recognize the name, obviously. This is a 2004 book that was reprinted, so I'm not sure when my edition was reprinted, but man, this book's crazy. I wish that I had my camera facing the other way, because other than the Grid Systems book, I mean, this might be even better than the Grid Systems book in terms of like production quality. And well, I mean, yeah, Grid Systems was just black and white, so. But this book is insane. It's like the entire Dutch typography history from the beginning until like 2004. I wish there was an American book like this, and I know the American typography scene is not as deep as the Dutch or the French, or basically anywhere. But I would be interested in learning that. But I came across so many Dutch designers, so many people from the Netherlands. Obviously, the Royal Academy of Arts in The Hague has their, I think it's called Type Media. They have their type design program that's, you know, probably the best place to learn typography in the world. That's obviously a subjective statement, and one that's completely uneducated because I don't know all of them, but it's the place that I've seen the most impressive designers come out of, and I think it has probably the biggest history. So anyway, I kept seeing Dutch designers, and I was like, man, I gotta learn about this. Both the typefaces that I use for my brand, other than Roboto, I use Zilvertype and I use Beoceans, are from the Netherlands. Obviously, Zilvertype, maybe not obviously, but Zilvertype, I'm using a revival by Canada Type, but in essence, they're both Dutch typefaces. So I'm really excited to read this book, but I know that it's just going to take so long. So I want to do Oh No, because I'm excited about that. It was a Christmas present, so I just started reading it on Christmas Day immediately. I want to read that. Maybe we'll just do a small one. Maybe we'll do Snails and Monkey Tales, and then go to the Dutch typography, because I've been waiting a long time to read that. And I just put it off because I know it's going to take so much time. But let me know if any of these are ones that you're excited about. And that stack's going to be pretty messy now, and oh no's not in order. Yeah, I can't do that. I can't do that. Let me know if any of these are ones that you would be excited about seeing, and I'm happy to change the order. The books are books that I want to cover. If there's other books that you want to cover too, let me know. Like I said, Elliot J. Stocks has another book coming out in March. That's, I think, he's doing a lot of interviews with type designers and stuff like that, so that should be a good book. And then I have House Industries Lettering Manual on the way. That should be here. Books take forever to get here. That should be here sometime in January. So I'm excited about that one too. I know that's lettering. It's not typography, but House Industries creates some incredible fonts that are, essentially based on, that are created by like lettering masters, or they're based on the masterworks of letterers. So while Reddit, our typography, has a strict like no lettering policy, Jectives does not. I'm fine to put the two together. I'm fine to I don't think that typography exists without lettering. And I think some of the most interesting typography, Ono is a perfect example. House Industries is another perfect example. I don't think that these two foundries put out the work that they do without being incredible letterers. So personally, that's where I plan to start my journey this year. I specifically did not buy Font Lab during the Black Friday sale because I didn't want to get sucked into software right now. I want to kind of like go through the process, old school, pencil, paper, and really dig into it that way. Plus, I don't have time to dedicate that. I'm not trying to become a type designer. I'm being a type journalist. So let me see what's else on this little map here, screen cap. I also have an outline over here, so let me make sure. Okay, one-offs. One-offs are something else I would like to do much more of. These examples here might be dumb examples. I'm not sure if I'll actually end up doing any of these. We're doing the channel update right now, so I guess that's a thing, but that'll probably happen once a year. Honestly, we'll probably do like an annual casual stream next January. Unless for some reason there's like a real reason that there's no typography news to cover, and then people just want to have a casual stream, sure. But other than this week, there's really no week in the entire year where there's not new fonts coming out. So channel updates probably won't happen too often unless there's some major thing. But I do think it could be fun to cover just like a single font. There's dumb fonts from when I was a kid, like Jazz and stuff like that are like, it's got the keyboard on the font. I would like to interview the designer of that, and I looked him up once, and I forget his name, I apologize. But I looked him up once, and I looked up that font, I added it to my ideas list. That's the kind of fun stuff that I wish I would have done more of last year, but I want to do more of this year. Just like dumb one-off videos about a font that I like, that I find interesting. Something, foundries. There's plenty of foundries that have come and gone, that have been absorbed. They could be new foundries, they could be old foundries, but I think it could be cool to do that, as well as type designers. Interviewing type designers is something that I've seen quite a bit of on YouTube, and it doesn't really seem to get a ton of traction. People don't seem to, they like fonts, they don't necessarily care about the designers. Unfortunately for them, or maybe fortunately, maybe they don't want to be in the spotlight. But there's probably only like a handful of household names that people could name. Until I started doing the news, I didn't. It would be embarrassing to go talk to myself a year ago and try to talk about designers and foundries and stuff like that. I've learned so much, and hopefully I'm able to like get some of that through on the news and the book reviews and stuff like that. But I think it could be cool to do some of these one-offs and maybe get some more stuff out there. Like I said, Jectives is not an educational content channel. There's never going to be tutorials and tips and the 3 things you need to know. I'm never going to end up doing that. But it could be fun to learn some of this stuff. I think I talked about in my very first video about seeds, and I'm a big believer in seeds. And I think that's something else I should put together this year, is like a seeds hypothesis. I know there's already a seed theory, so I'll have to come up with some other name for it. But this idea of like finding these like creative threads to pull on, or these rabbit holes to dive down. they can come from all kinds of places. That's one of the best. That's one of why I read the books so much and why it takes me so long to read them, because I just dive down all the rabbit holes. If there's a type designer, I'm looking them up. If there's a font that I like, I want to know more about it. If there's a foundry that I've never heard of, I'm going to go research it and find out where it was, who it was, when it was. I love doing that stuff. And there's like some real creative inspiration that comes from that. So whether it's, Thinking with Type by Ellen Lupton, or an interview with like a type designer that you've never heard of, I think there's something to be gained from that. Lastly, this is stuff that's not coming right now. And this is stuff that some people, won't be popular with some people, but member content. And this will be like interviews, investigations, and book club. I'm not going to go into this to a ton right now because it's really not going to happen like right now. Like I said, my focus is on the books, but I do have plans for like, let me get this over here. I do have plans for like some, I don't know, for lack of a better word, like premium content, but in reality, it's just content that's very resource intensive. It's going to take a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of energy to do these things. To do the interviews, like I said, the interviews, it is what it is. I'm going to talk to people that I'm interested in. I don't think that they're necessarily going to do incredibly well. The investigations, I think, could be really interesting. And I'm not going to give any spoilers about what I plan to investigate, because I don't want people to be closed off to that. And I don't want companies to, I don't know, like prepare themselves, for lack of a better phrase. But I do have some interesting things that I want to investigate. And if you're at all, familiar with the type industry and the major players, you'll probably be able to guess who and what I'll be looking into. But I think that could be really interesting because the type industry doesn't really seem to be very introspective in that sense. They talk shit about who they don't like, and who they do, but nobody ever really does anything about it. Nobody looks into anything. Nobody asks questions. So it would be interesting to get some real answers. And then lastly, book club. So book club, you can see my little chart here. All of this is public content. All of this is going to be on YouTube. All the stuff from before is always going to be there. But this little section over here is going to be stuff that I'll be setting up on my website and things like that. So it's not going to be part of like YouTube membership, channel memberships, or whatever that is. But it's just going to be like extra content that if people want to support the channel or they want to watch that stuff, they can. But the book club, I don't know if anybody will want to do this, but I think that it could be fun. The book reviews, like I said, are going nowhere. But book club would basically be like, we rather than like wait to see the flip throughs and like decide like if you want to read something, if there's something you've already decided that you want to read, or if you want to read one of these books that I'm going to be reading this year, and I'll do a better job about like previewing some of those. I think like a book club could be fun. Basically like, do like a weekly, like here's how many chapters we're going to read or whatever, just like a normal book club does. Hop on Zoom, talk about it, go over, what we thought was interesting, what maybe we were confused about, what we learned outside of the book about topics within the book. I think it could be really fun to have that little book club community. And then obviously that would feed, you can see my little arrow here, that would feed into the books. So like whatever we talked about in book club would, kind of inform what other people might be interested, or like I could talk about like what the book club found interesting in that. Do I think that these things will be wildly successful? I don't know. I think the investigations could be interesting, and I think if there's some interesting stuff, maybe the type industry is just so boring that there's no reason to investigate anything, and that's why there isn't more investigations. I don't believe that to be true, but it might be. The interviews, same thing. There's plenty of interviews online. People don't really seem super interested to talk to or to watch them. I like to watch them, but maybe it's the interviewee, maybe it's the interviewer. I don't know. We could find out. Book club is the thing that I think is the most fun in terms of the community and stuff like that, but none of these are like significant things. The pillars are the pillars: typography news, the book reviews, and then these one-offs here. So that is that. Let me go ahead and talk about YouTube. Let me get out of full screen here. So my channel got I got a YouTube partner. Let me go ahead and switch to my face cam because I don't know if there's a reason to look at this. I guess we could for a second. You can see I have, oh, look, we're live. I have 1,000 and 1.15K now. So like 1,150 subscribers. I've been at 1,000 for a while. If you'll see my matching post here with my shirt, I've got the brown shirt there, the navy shirt here, which I think that this shirt looks black. But yeah, so we hit 1,000 a while back, like a month ago, but I didn't hit my watch hours yet. The affinity coverage of the Fontsmith collection finally dropping pushed me over the edge on that one. That one's got 4,000 views on it. I did not expect that. 500, 600 watch hours or something, maybe more, pushed me over the edge on that one. So I did get YouTube Partner, which is cool. I don't get any money from AdSense yet. So the ads that you're seeing on YouTube, I've seen them myself. I go watch my typography news with my Jectives account, and I have to switch to my personal account because they're showing ads. I don't get paid for that. YouTube makes money off of that, but I don't. But what my partnership does do is allows for the channel memberships. So I am planning to do that, but I'm going to do just like one tier, super cheap, probably like $199 or something. And it's basically just to do, sorry, I'm trying to get my face cam on again. Basically just to do, to be able to have like the little badges and the custom emojis. I know there's only a few of you that talk in chat, and there's no pressure at all to do this, but designers want to design, and I had the opportunity to design little badges and little custom emojis. I think you can only make like 4 emojis when you first start, but the more members you get, the more emojis you can make. So I always like those when I watch Twitch streamers. I used to watch way more in the pandemic, probably all of us did. But as the channel grows, I think there will be an opportunity to kind of have little fun community things like that. And if people want to support for like $2 or less, because it is regionally, it's regionally priced. So like in Brazil, it's way less than $2. But that would depend where you are. Probably $2 is like the maximum of what it would cost anybody ever. $1.99. But yeah, just to create the emojis and stuff like that and have fun with them. But that is separate, like I said, from the content, the interviews and stuff like that. Why am I doing that off of YouTube? Because I don't want to be entirely dependent on YouTube for everything. You know, I'm growing the channel on YouTube, but I want to be like a real typography publication, like a real journalist. And I can't just be a YouTuber. But yeah, the main things will always be the main things, and those will be on YouTube because typography news and the book reviews just they work so well here in terms of content. I'm looking at my notes over there. But yeah, on the note of community, one thing I wanted to point out is like as the channel grows, you get more and more weirdos commenting on stuff. And the affinity content gets more of that because, you know, they're not part of like the type community quite as much. You get a lot of people that watch that one video and never again. Some of those people have like left rude comments about like directed at other viewers. Those comments get deleted. Those people get blocked. Maybe not blocked right away, but you know, there's one viewer that I saw that I've seen comment on another YouTuber's channel, and that YouTuber replied to it and just kind of left it there. I'm not gonna do that. Like I remember reading, oh gosh, I wish I could think of his name now. The guy who wrote the book like about stealing art. What is his? Let's just look it up real quick. Stealing art book. Steal like an artist. That's what it was. Not a huge fan of these like trendy books. Austin Kleon. Not a huge fan of these types of trendy books. They're not bad. Like I said, there's still seeds in all of these books. But he had a great line in there about like, if somebody came to your house and took a shit in the living room, like you wouldn't just leave it there because they put it there. I look at the comment section the same way. Like if someone comes and like writes something really mean directed at me, writes something mean directed at other people that provides like no insight or, you know, adds nothing to conversation, I'm going to delete it. I'm going to hide them from everyone on the channel. And they can just scream into the void. But if people want to disagree with me, please do it. I'm not perfect. I'm not going to get everything right. If you want to disagree with other people, that's fine too. Just don't be rude. So that's the main thing. We obviously don't have that here right now, but I expect as the channel grows, those things will. And I just want it to be known that it's going to be non-toxic comments, unlike most of the internet. So let me switch back to the screen because I have a new website. Like I said, I know that this probably is kind of boring for some people, but those people probably aren't watching now or on the replay. But this is the website. I do have a website now, but it mostly just redirects to YouTube. But this will be where like that member content will be eventually. Like I said, not right now. You can see just featured. There is something interesting on this page, I promise. Featured video, that's the last one. Typography news there. We got the books. We got some affinity coverage. And then I have one new thing. Two new things, actually. One is this right here. It is a newsletter. I'm doing this through Button Down. If you don't know, they're very respectable. I just like the ethos of Button Down. Newsletter service. So it's going to come out on Mondays. Basically, it's just a way to not rely on the algorithm because, you know, YouTube shows you what they want to show you. A lot of people don't go to their subscriptions. I do, but even then, YouTube sometimes doesn't show it to you, all of your subscriptions. Instagram obviously is going to show you whatever they want to show you. Mastodon and Bluesky are a little bit better, but yeah, I mean, if you want to know when stuff's coming out and you don't want to miss it, subscribe, and it would make me happy. if you never want to, you never want to do like the premium content that I'm going to make later on. If you don't want to do like the $1.99, you can't afford $1.99 for the channel membership. This is a great way you could support me, even though it costs me money. It would be nice to just have that direct conversation or direct line to be able to let you know when new videos are up and stuff like that. It's just going to be Mondays. Obviously, if you're familiar with the channel, you know that I have no interest in being spammy or anything like that. But yeah, it would basically just be let people know like the chapters were added on Monday. Here's the other video I posted. You know, that'll be basically it. But back to the website. All my social media is down here. I don't know if anybody cares about this. But YouTube, obviously, if you're watching this video, you know about that. Instagram, that's me. I follow 616 people and only have 99 followers. I don't care about Instagram at all. I use Instagram to look at to look at foundries and stuff like that. I only follow foundries. I only follow designers. And I actually don't even use this regular page. I have a bookmark here that is following only. So this gives me like chronological order of following, and I see no ads and stuff like that. So this just, I use Instagram to keep up with foundries. If they don't have newsletters and stuff like that, I don't care if you follow me there. But I do have Bluesky, and I also have Mastodon. I'm on typo.social. If you want to connect with me on any of those places, it's cool. I do use Instagram for messages. So if you want to message me, go ahead and message me on Instagram. But my email is also on the website. So this obviously isn't finished, but it's going to have videos. They're just going to be YouTube embeds, not an endless scroll. You'll have to click through pages. This is the thing I'm most excited about on the website, though, and it is upcoming typography events. I'm mainly creating this for myself. I think that this is going to be another one of those things where it's like a service to everyone else, but I'll be honest, like this is something that I want, and so I'm making it. It is going to be really simple. It's not going to look too much different than this right here. I am going to try to do a better job. I'm just going to zoom in on this, but this is the size that it is on the page. And then obviously if we were doing like, let me make this so you can see how big it would be on mobile and stuff like that. Let's do this. Okay, so if you're on mobile or something like that, you know, it's going to shrink down. It's still going to look good. No fancy calendar or anything like that. So I'm going to zoom in now though, so we can see this really big. There's basically, I don't know, what do we got? Five, six different sections here. Date, these are all in order of date, and as they pass, I'm just going to delete them. There's not going to be any archive of these, nothing like that. As the events pass, I'm just going to delete them. But future events, you got the dates, they're all in order. You just scroll through. This top part here is going to link directly to the official thing. So that one's for Letterform Archive, Make a Zine, Letterform Archive. Let me close these ones. All of these ones. So date, event with the link. Then it's going to have the host, which is Letterform Archive. Presenters, there's a couple of presenters there. This is going to be location, so San Francisco, California there. But if we go down to, Sunday, this is next Sunday. This is Typography News number 30. The host is Jectives. Presenter is me, Curtis Simpson. And then when they're online, it's going to say online via Zoom, online via YouTube, online via Google Meet, whatever it is. We're going to have free events. I am going to try to find a better way to do this paid event versus free event. Right now it's just bold, but I think there's probably a better way to kind of do that. One day there might be a filter. Not today, guys. Not today. And then as we go down, let's find one from Creative Boom. So here's Creative Boom. Official description. So you can get their description on here, but right now it's not going to let me get this back to 100%. Right now, they're going to be real easy to scroll through without those official descriptions. But if you want to learn more, go ahead and do that. You can see the official description that I just took right off their website. And then if you want to actually see it, you can click on the name and go see. This is another one at Letterform Archive. It's cost money. Let's go to that one from Creative Boom. So this one's Creative Boom right here. Click that one. This one's part of the studio, but this is a free one. So you can just do this one on Zoom webinar. I'm going, as you can see there. But yeah, I'll talk about this one next week because this one's coming up January 14th. If you're super interested and you're in San Francisco, you can go to these two different events that are at Letterform Archive this week. But I think most people are going to be interested in the online and the free ones if you're watching a Typography News live stream. But as I spill water on myself, I am going to have all of the events, all the conferences and stuff like that. Right now, I just have it through January, but I'll keep adding to this. And I'm 100% dedicated to keeping up with this. Probably I'll put these in the newsletter as well each week, like the upcoming things. So you're not gonna have to check the website all the time, but if you wanted to see what's coming up in February and March, eventually I'm gonna have every single thing until the end of time. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think that's gonna be a useful resource. If for nobody else, it's gonna be really useful for me when I'm doing the news, but hopefully some of you will find it useful as well. Members comment about, I kind of talked about the about stuff already. I don't have an about page even on here. But the about's basically going to lay out the same stuff I said about sponsors. Sponsors might come up one day. Hopefully, if we can get some supporters and stuff like that, then I'll never have to take sponsors. That would be ideal. But sponsors outside of the type industry are entirely possible this year if there's not any revenue from the member stuff. I'm just going to be like the old school days and put this over here on the left. That way I'm not looking over there. Let's make this really small. So we're on this part. I think I already talked about this a little bit, but I wanted to make it really clear because I had a complaint from a type designer, Type Foundry, right before the holidays. Let me go ahead and switch back to Facecam. I did have a complaint, my first one. If you're familiar with the channel, I mostly cover typefaces that I like, and that's still the case. There's, I might critique some things about the license, but, or the pricing, or maybe the way that it wasn't, they didn't release a variable font when they very clearly could have. Maybe I'll, critique things like that. But in general, there's so many good fonts. I don't have time to report on bad fonts, but I was critical of a typeface in my most recent Typography News. Not to the point to where I said anybody shouldn't buy it, but I did question whether or not it was derivative of something else, which would have been 100% fine. That type designer reached out to me, said that I did more harm than good. You did more harm than good. Here's my response, and I did send him, and we hash things out. It's not a big deal. It really isn't. But Jectives is typography journalism. It's not paid advertising. It's not free promotion. It's not education. Although I think there are some things you can learn. It's typography journalism. I responded and let this person know, I think that if I unfairly reviewed someone, if I just blatantly lied about it, please call me out and correct me. But that's not what happened. I let them have I let them comment on it. I let the other designer that designed the typeface I thought it looked like, I let them comment on it. So I reached out, let both sides comment on it Both of them said there's no problem. I reported, hey, there's no problem. I investigated this thing. Turned out I was wrong. I think here's how you could use the font. Pair them together. They didn't like that, but that's what it is. This is journalism. It's not when I ask foundries for review copies of the fonts that I can't use commercially, I can't use personally. It's not that I'm not asking them that as a bribe. I'm asking them that as a service to you guys to be able to do the review accurately. And there have been foundries that have said no, and that's 100% fine. I still covered the font. But I think that this person thought that like I was going to do some kind of promotion or advertisement for them for free. And I suppose there is some sort of, there is some level of promotion when you're talking about a font for like 10 minutes. But yeah, please rest assured, viewers, I have your best interest at heart. I'm a fan of almost every type foundry and type designer that I've come across. Literally almost all of them, 99.9% of them. And even the ones that I don't, maybe I have some like personal like ick about, I still report on the releases if they're significant, if they're good, if they're, whatever. I at the end of this, I'm a journalist. I'm going to report things objectively, and then I give my subjective review of it. But I just want to make it like 200% clear. Jectives does journalism. These are never going to be sponsored spots about fonts. There's never going to be an advertisement for a foundry, and it's always just going to be, here are the objective facts. Here are my subjective opinions. Do with that what you want. Any foundries watching or type designers watching, please understand I'm going to give you a fair shake. But if you give me a review copy of a font, that doesn't mean it's going to be 100% positive coverage. And I think that every foundry other than this one, I've had a good experience with. It's fine. Let me talk about a few other things. I want to improve my live stream. I think the main thing that I could do to improve it is something that I've been working on very incrementally with every single episode, and that is preparation. I think I've got much better. Please don't go back and watch the old ones. But if you were to go back and watch one of the old ones, particularly the original live streams from like, I was doing pre-recorded for the first 4, and those are pretty cringe. But then I started live streaming at episode number 5. So it's got a big live on it because I wanted everybody to know this is when they stopped being pre-recorded and started being live on the thumbnail. Man, I was very unprepared. I didn't know how to do my notes. I didn't know how to do anything. I think that I've gotten much better at that, but I still think the thing that I can do to make this channel the best isn't like buying a LCD wall or a new microphone or getting a studio set or something. I think the best thing I can do for the channel for the live stream is preparation. As I say this during a casual live stream, but I think if you've been around, Evie, you've been around. There are a handful of you that comment in chat that have been around from the very beginning. Hopefully you've seen my efforts to make this channel a bit better, and almost all of that, I'd say 80% of that comes down to the preparation that I do during the week leading up to the live stream. Obviously getting in the reps and like doing this 30 times has made me much better at doing it, but like the preparation during the week and knowing when I need to get what done has really been the best improvement. So if you're doing something, if you want a live stream, that would be my advice to you. But just know that I'm incrementally really putting in the effort to get better every single week, and most of that is preparation. Number 2, audio. I know this audio isn't the best quality. The mic is the mic, but I'm going to do some like sound, not soundproofing, but like some sound dampening and stuff like that to try to make the sound better in my office. I don't have the budget for like a real studio and stuff like that, so it's going to be what it is. But I think that the audio is like tolerable, but I'd still like to improve it. Maybe I can use some filters and stuff like that to improve it a little bit better. It's something that I've neglected, that I know that I could do better at. One thing I could do is get a mic arm. I'll give you a secret here since we're on the casual stream. This is sitting on the box that it came in because it puts it a little bit closer to my mouth. But I know like a podcast like mic arm would do a much better job at getting this close to my mouth. Yeah, the last thing is just broadcast graphics. I don't think anybody cares about this, but I think that it would be really fun to make typography news look in almost like an homage or parody, in a way similar to regular broadcast news. Am I doing it because I want to be seen as like more serious? Not really. Like I said, designers want to design. I want to make the graphics. I want to make the lower thirds. I want to make the split screens when I'm doing interviews and stuff like that. I want to make broadcast graphics for the channel. And I know that like having Hornet in the corner and stuff like that, like that doesn't necessarily fit the theme. So we're gonna have to figure that out. But I think it would be fun to do that, and I think it would just be a little bit more polished rather than like sharing the screen like this. I know I've never had really complaints about it, but like, who wants to see the Windows UI, during the news? It is what it is. It's fine. The information's still getting across. But I think if I could have like just a little bit more professional graphics and broadcast stuff, I think that could be cool. Again, my priorities here are preparation, audio, broadcast graphics, but there's something fun that I want to do, and that I plan to do this year, but it's not the priority. On a personal note, I'm going to be doing, practicing my lettering a little more, doing some type design, so that I can be not because I want to be like a famous type designer or even a like successful type designer, but just more so that I can have a more educated conversation. Would you be open to seeing options for the UI? Oh, Evie, you're talking about for the website? Or are you talking about for the broadcast graphics? I am going to be doing some practicing my lettering, my type design, not because I want to become a type designer, but because I want to better understand what I'm reporting on and things like that. I do want to make some fonts, but they're not for, this isn't going to turn into I Love Typography, that started as a blog and now it's a marketplace. This isn't going to be like, I'm not turning Jectives into like this isn't some secret way to like sell my own fonts or anything. I want to learn how to do it for another project that I'm working on, but it's not going to be, I'm not going to open gosh, I shouldn't say I'm not going to open a foundry, but I'm not going to open like a foundry. Anyway, and that's so far out. I'm practicing pencil paper right now. Illustration, animation. This is something I played around with it for a long time, but I do want to do more animations with my little Jectives eyeball. I've done some of them in Moho and stuff like that, but and then I have like a notebook filled with a bunch of fun sketches and things. I plan on using him a little more in like thumbnails and things like that, but this with the news, with the broadcast graphics and stuff like that, I want to do some animated stuff with him, and I think that could be fun. Again, not because I want to be like a cartoonist or something, but just I do love cartoons and I love type design, but like I don't want to do these things professionally. I just want to do them, and then I think that it could be fun to integrate them into Jectives in a way that no one will ever notice or care about, but will be fun for me to do. For the broadcast graphics, yeah, Evie, totally. I've done some research and stuff on them, but if you have things that you think would be useful to have or something like that, I'm certainly open to how am I trying to say this? Open to suggestions. Yeah, I've studied like a bunch of the broadcast graphics from the major news networks in like the US or English speaking places, but I haven't settled on anything, of course. And I guess that feeds into the other thing, which I noted at the top of the show, and that is feedback is welcome. Anything that I've said in this stream, if you're like, please don't do that, Curtis, let me know. It doesn't mean I'm going to listen, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to do what you say, but I will listen to what you say. Likewise, if there are books that you want me to cover that weren't on that list, or if you want something to be higher in the list, let me know. I'm not going to not do book reviews because that's what I do. But if there's something within that you want to suggest or comment, go ahead. Same with news coverage. If there are topics or investigations you'd like to see me do, interviews with people you'd like to see me talk to, I have big lists for both things, but I'm completely open to suggestions on that as well. And then if there are things that you're excited about that I'm doing, let me know. If there are things you're concerned about me doing, let me know. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. I'm so used to doing this like rushed hour and a half stream, but I guess we're more or less done. Let me check my paper notes. I am a big fan of big fan of writing down my notes, so I just wanted to go through these. Yeah, we got the achievement, 1,000 subscribers. We got YouTube partner. I never expected that I would be a YouTube partner ever. I've had other YouTube channels. I've never been a live streamer, but that was a really cool moment. That happened New Year's Eve. I got the email being like, hey, you can apply for this. And I applied, and New Year's Day I got approved. So it's just the channel membership, so I can make like the little emojis and badges and stuff like that. But I think we're about 500 or 600 hours away from AdSense, like being full, that next level of partner that used to, what we think of as a YouTube partner. So then I'll make, I don't know, 55% of the ad money that YouTube's taking all of right now. Yeah, books, personal. Oh, one thing I am going to do, let's see, I don't know if anybody cares about this. And I don't know how this fits into the channel either, but walking around the city in Curitiba, I'm in Curitiba, Paraná, Brazil. I'm from Las Vegas. I've said this many times. But walking around the city here, I have noticed the typography. All the buildings have names, and all the buildings have cool little signs like with the names, and the typography on the outside of these buildings, some of it's lettering, but a lot of it is like metal typography, is really cool. And I've been planning on like documenting it and stuff, because these things won't be here forever. And I don't know that anybody's really going to care about it, but I'm going to mention it now just in case there is anybody that does, because I'm going to start documenting it, photographing it and stuff like that, and just kind of see what comes of it. But I don't know that it's even something I'm going to share on the channel. But I don't know. I think that I would like to encourage you to do the same. If there's something like that where like, oh, I really appreciate this typography in this place, literally just take a picture of it with your phone. I mean, you don't have to go out and like take a fancy camera out like I'm planning to do, because these things won't exist eventually. I think it could be cool to just document it yourself. But the really cool thing, if there's any type designers out there, the really cool thing is what we've seen a lot of people do. Brutal Types is doing this right now. A lot of this is, I don't know, kind of immortalizing it or doing like an homage. You could do two things. You can do like the revival of it, where you take like the font that's on the, the fonts that are on these buildings and stuff like that, and you make like a digital new version of it, your version of it. But the other thing you could do is kind of collect a bunch of things like House Industries did with the Las Vegas fonts that they made, and kind of take inspiration and create like an homage out of those. Obviously, people can do whatever they want, but I think that's I don't know. That's another one of those like service things where it's like, people might want to see what these building names looked like. People might want to see what the Las Vegas signs looked like. People might want to see what like this ephemera looked like, and they'll never have access to it. And I don't know, that's why the Internet Archive's so great, right? We should do some Internet Archive book reviews for sure. Okay. I know there are a few of you still hanging out, but I don't really have much else to talk about. So I guess we're going to get off of here like 25 minutes early. These casual streams probably won't happen very often, if at all. We'll do one next year, I guess. But I did just want to give everyone a preview of what's going on this year, what my plans are, where my head is at for the channel. So that you guys can give me feedback and stuff like that, or you can unsubscribe if you don't want to see this stuff. But hopefully you stay subscribed. Hopefully you want to support me down the road when those opportunities come up. But if nothing else, give me a like on this video, and I will see you guys next week for a real typography news. We'll be doing typography news number 30. Yeah, so that'll be fun. I'll see you guys then. Bye.